When Vern was on the farm, he cracked open a duck egg, but miraculously, he heard a metallic sound. He immediately felt that something was wrong. After picking it up and examining it carefully, he found a shiny golden egg inside the shell. Excited, he took it home to study it closely. Amazingly, it turned out to be made of metal. Overjoyed, Vern immediately told his wife, but to his surprise, she looked very distressed. It turned out that 2 days earlier, she had sold the duck to a farm owner. Vern was instantly astonished. He quickly drove to the farm, bought the duck back from the owner, but at a price 300 times higher. He bought the duck back at 300 times the original price. The owner told him the duck was in the back, and that he needed to find it himself. But when Vern got there, he found that all the ducks looked the same. He was at a loss for what to do, but suddenly remembered that their duck could lay eggs. So the whole family got down on the ground and started barking like dogs, but it was too noisy. Despite their efforts, there was no response. Disappointed, the boy opened the door to leave, when suddenly, all the ducks rushed out. Everyone quickly chased after the ducks. In the chaos, Vern even fell into the pond. Just when they thought the duck was lost, one duck quietly followed the boy. They were overjoyed and checked if it was the right one. Sure enough, the duck laid an egg, a golden egg. They finally found their duck. From then on, they would never worry about money again. The father immediately asked everyone what the first thing they would do with the money was. Bill is a policeman. A few years ago, he took his daughter to play in the park, but in the blink of an eye, his daughter suddenly vanished from his sight. He panicked and searched everywhere, but they found no clues at all. Since then, he has been trapped in guilt, even needing to see a psychologist in an attempt to recover himself, but it didn't help at all. Bill still hasn't given up. Deep down in his heart, he believes his daughter is still alive. One day after the therapy session, he received a new task. An anonymous message stated that a bank robbery would happen soon. Bill and his partner were sent to keep watch. Just before getting into the car, Danny stepped on a bug. Though it was just a trivial matter, he had a bad premonition. In the car, he listened again to the information given by his superior. Austin Bank's number 23 might be the target. Bill wrote it down in his notebook, and then his colleague added more details, including the involvement of a female bank employee who had already been placed under close surveillance. They just needed to see who she was in contact with. Maybe they could catch the mastermind. Soon, they got into a surveillance vehicle to monitor every movement in the area. They analyzed all the suspicious people nearby, but at first there seemed to be nothing unusual until the female bank clerk appeared on the screen. Bill saw her sitting on a bench and then handing something over to the man beside her. This guy might be the mastermind behind the robbery. Just as they were about to rush out to arrest him, the man seemed to say something to the woman.
Very hot today.
So hot. It's like a furnace.
A girl was kidnapped by a perverted murderer. A dagger pierced the main artery in her thigh. While the man was cleaning up the blood, she crawled into the small darkroom where he specifically disposed of bodies. Then she locked the door from the inside, took out a Bluetooth headset, and connected it to her phone outside the darkroom. The police received the girl's alarm and determined the community where she was located through the phone's positioning. To quickly identify her exact location, Officer Ju asked the girl to describe what she could see through the window. But when the girl struggled to crawl to the window, she found that all windows were sealed and fixed with hard materials. The only gap allowed her to see the blue sky and white clouds. What's worse, every time the girl took a deep breath, a large amount of blood gushed from her leg, clearly indicating that the main artery had been punctured. If this continued, she would die from excessive blood loss within an hour. Therefore, determining her specific location by checking surveillance was also unfeasible, as it was definitely too late. Moreover, the community had 5 exits, and the surveillance did not cover all of them. Thus, they could only rely on the information provided by the girl. After struggling to recall, the girl told the rescuers that the man seemed to have a good knowledge of human anatomy. There was nothing special on the room's balcony, a wheelchair in the living room, and a lot of sanitary pads in the bathroom where she was now. Based on the existing information, Ju guessed that the man might be a habitual criminal. However, when the police headquarters investigated all the residents in the community, they found no one with a criminal record. Ju suddenly thought of the sanitary pads. Why would a single man have a large number of sanitary pads in his home? He suddenly had a terrifying inference. The man just wanted to buy a bottle of beverage, but he accidentally found a mysterious envelope. Out of curiosity, he opened it. Inside, there was a banknote and a love letter. The letter read, "If you also believe in love, please walk 100 meters forward." The young man smiled, thinking it was a boring prank, so he put the letter back intact. But after walking only 2 steps, he regretted it. When he arrived at the vending machine, he took out the envelope symbolizing fate again simply because he hadn't been in a relationship for 25 years and still longed for love. Thus, he followed the letter's instructions and walked forward. What greeted him was another vending machine, where he indeed found a second letter. This time, the letter stated the other person's blood type. If you are type A or B, walk 120 steps forward. The young man was thrilled because he was exactly type A. He followed the instructions and walked forward again. Finally, he He saw the other person's true appearance, a photo of a girl with delicate features. Her pure look was exactly his ideal type, making him even more eager for the upcoming meeting. The man was also excited. Ahead was the meeting place, where the girl had already arranged a heart-shaped flower wreath on the ground. The boy stood inside the heart as instructed in the letter, then took out his phone and nervously called the girl. The girl asked how he felt about her. The boy replied shyly that he was not only satisfied with her appearance but also couldn't wait to meet the girl in the letter. However, the girl told him to stay put and that she would come to meet him immediately. After hanging up, the boy couldn't help but look around, wondering from which direction his long-awaited girl would appear. He even took out his phone to take photos and capture this memorable moment. Just then, a banknote flew past his eyes. The boy instinctively reached to pick it up. The next second, he never expected the girl's entrance to be like this. If it weren't for the money in his hand, he might have been killed. When meeting a net friend for the first time, the girl told the other party she was carrying a yellow small bag for easy identification. But when she asked about the other person's features, they remained silent, saying, "As long as I can find you." This response annoyed the girl. She put down her phone and didn't want to this strange person anymore. Soon, however, a new message popped up. "I've already found you." This made the girl even more confused. Just then, a commotion broke out outside. It was said that a beautiful woman had been killed. Curious, the girl pushed through the crowd and saw a young woman lying on the ground covered in blood. She was also carrying a yellow small bag. The girl froze, recalling the earlier message, "I've found you," and felt a shiver down her spine. She quickly covered her yellow bag with her clothes, carefully backed out of the crowd, and rushed home as fast as she could. In the elevator, she met a tall woman. Having someone else there eased her anxiety a bit. Suddenly, the dating app pinged again. The girl checked her phone and saw a notification. "Match successful. Your friend is beside you." As she wondered, the tall woman in the elevator also received a ping from the same app, another match successful notification. The girl curiously opened the app and realized it was the same net friend she had been chatting with. Shame didn't expect the bullets to run out in an instant, and the Gatling gun also stalled. As the opponent was about to drive away, the woman immediately unleashed her ultimate weapon. In a flash, a revolver was quickly assembled, and she opened fire wildly at the fleeing car. But helplessly, the distance between them was already too far, and the bullets couldn't cause any fatal damage. The woman was so furious that she stomped in anger, but could only watch the other side escape without a trace. Xianga thought he had escaped disaster, but unexpectedly, his teammate on the phone brought bad news. The computer showed that ahead of Xianga was a 100-meter cliff. If they didn't stop, they would surely fall to pieces. But instead of braking, Xianga slammed the gas pedal, accelerating. The next second, he crashed through the fence and plunged into the cliff. It turned out that this was an escape route Xianga had arranged in advance, designed to handle unexpected emergencies. Soon, they burst out from the other side of the passage. However, just as the two were rejoicing at finally being safe, two corrupt police officers had been waiting there for a long time. The boy crawled through the barbed wire of the concentration camp and cautiously crept into the minefield laid by the Japanese army. One wrong move could blow him to pieces. A patrolling Japanese soldier happened to pass by. After spotting the boy's shoes, he aimed his rifle and stepped into the minefield too, searching for the boy's figure amid the reeds. The boy was too terrified to move an inch. The Japanese soldier drew closer and closer. On the verge of being discovered, a young Japanese boy suddenly appeared, shouting for the soldier to pick up an airplane model. Distracted, the soldier gave up the search, saving the boy from certain danger. Jamie had spent 4 years in the concentration camp. By then, the Japanese army was on its last legs, and Jamie was convinced rescue would come soon. One day, 2 American fighter planes attacked, bombing the concentration camp wildly. Japanese soldiers fled in all directions. Watching the blown-up Japanese soldiers, Jamie stood on a high place and cheered loudly. A British doctor hurried to stop him, warning that such behavior was suicidal. But Jamie told the doctor, "I can barely remember what my parents look like." Abandoning tens of thousands of prisoners in the camp, after trekking alone for 3 days, Jamie returned to the camp where he'd lived for 4 years, and met the young Japanese boy who saved him. The boy happily gave him a mango. Just then, American troops stormed into the camp in jeeps. Seeing this, the young Japanese boy quickly raised his samurai sword